All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's day 9. Crazy, but I'm going to keep doing it. And I got to tell you, though, you know what's crazy? So, you know how yesterday, if you watched, we talked about anxiety, okay? I think above all other videos I've done, it's the one that, like, more people than, like, we actually got some shares, and, like, all of a sudden people were like, oh my gosh, like, talk more about this. And I was just like, okay, you know what? Let's talk more about this. And a lot of the comments I was getting, it was like, Kev, it's not just that this is important. It's like this really matters and we have to talk more about it. And so I kind of got thinking, like, if this many of us are quietly wrestling with anxiety or it impacts our lives in some way, like, why aren't we talking more about it, or at least talking more about it more loudly? And why isn't it in the book? And so we're going to fix all of that. And so I thought today, like, let me just explain what I've learned and what I think I understand about anxiety, okay? I'm not a scientist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I'm not anything but just a dude who suffered with it and who's tried to figure some stuff out. And as I've done research on why it affected me so much, once I realized it was the thing that affected me, I've started to understand it a little bit more. So I'm just going to talk about, like, the why and the what of anxiety. And to my homies, to my guys, to my bros, dudes out there, like, don't check out on this, okay? This is not, I'm too cool for this, because if a Hall of Fame Super Bowl winning quarterback like Steve Young can open up about it, we can too, okay? So, like, just for a few seconds, like, drop the bro, I got this facade, and, like, let's just be honest. Like, let's be super real about this. And so, again, thank you everybody for your responses yesterday. I realized this is important, and so that's why we're talking about it again today. So here's the deal as I understand it. Like, anxiety is like our brain's threat detection system, but, like, on overdrive, right? It's like if you installed a Ring or like a home security alarm to keep us safe, but then it goes off every time a leaf blows across the driveway, right? That's what's going on. And my understanding is it starts with the amygdala. That's like our lizard brain, right? And that's the part that's trying to protect us, right? It's like our brain's smoke detector to tell us if there's danger. But for some of us, for me included, my amygdala, and for some of us who have anxiety, it's extra sensitive, right? So it fires off alarms even when there's no real fire, okay? So what should happen is, like, normally your prefrontal cortex, right? Like your brain's logic center, it steps in and it's like, hey, amygdala, lizard brain, it's cool, bro. Everything's fine. There's no danger. But the deal is, when the amygdala fires, right? When the warning system goes off, your body reacts instantly and it's flooded with cortisol. And so those stress chemicals, and it can be adrenaline too, right? So those stress chemicals overtake the logic brain. And then here's the kicker. When that happens again and again and again, your body remembers. And so even though you may not have trauma, it becomes, to your brain, to your body, to your perception, sort of a traumatic repeated stressor. And it's crazy because it can literally rewire your nervous system so that your nervous system starts to see threats all over the place. Like, oh, what about that? Oh, what about that? And then you're freaking out. And then your body is having some reactions to it. That's what happened to me, okay? So a lot of people, like, let me just be clear. We're not deficient if we have anxiety, okay? That's not been my experience. Some of it's genetic. Some of it can run in families. Some of it comes from, like, early life experiences. I don't think that was the case for me, but I know it can be for others. And even, like, sleep or eating habits can kind of amp it up a little bit. Here's the other one, that this is where I still have to really battle with it. Like, I'm not a high achiever from the standpoint of I've achieved a lot of things, but I do kind of view the world more like a high achiever, or like somebody who really wants to do it the right way. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm like almost trying to be one sometimes. And the other thing is I try to be pretty empathetic. So if you're a high achiever, if you're a perfectionist, if you're an empath, like, we wrestle with the what ifs more than anybody else. And so then the amygdala kicks, the cortisol comes, we feel anxious, we don't know why. And so here's the deal. Like, this is not a thing where it's like, just solve the problem, you're going to be fine. And I think there's still some stigma that's attached with anxiety, right? Like, somehow we're broken, or I don't really know, but I feel like some of us think that anxiety is weakness. I'm telling you right now, like, a lot of dudes, like, we're like, yeah, I got this, you know, like, we don't want to talk about the fact that we have anxiety, but I'm telling you, like, this is something that we can combat, and if we do, we become a lot more powerful, okay? So, and this, by the way, this is where gratitude comes in, okay? And I've realized I need to talk a lot more about this and other hard things in the book, like not just anxiety, but like I think some of you know, like I've been through a divorce and been through financial ruin, and I think we need to talk about the big stuff. I didn't talk about a ton of big stuff in the first book. We're going to talk about big stuff, and I think anxiety is one of those, right? Because here's the deal. Anxiety tells us, pay attention, right? Amygdala, danger, pay attention. But what gratitude does is it says, don't just pay attention, but literally pay attention to what's good. It's tactical. It says follow the things that are good and let that combat the amygdala telling you everything's bad. Because what happens when we use gratitude, our body's releasing serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. It douses the cortisol fire, and we're viewing the world through a different set of lenses. We're not ignoring the stress. We're just balancing it inside of our body. And what's nuts about that is we can then rewire our brain to reprogram the nervous system so that the lizard brain isn't always driving the brain car. So in the rewrite, yeah, we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about how flipping the switch every day, not just with little tiny annoyances, but with big stuff, can make a massive difference and even do what it's maybe done for me, which is take care of a lot of some of that anxiety and stuff that I felt. So I hope you guys are cool for that. I hope you're ready, because that's absolutely what we're going to do. It's going to be a big part of it. And man, thank you for continuing to watch. This is awesome. Let's keep the conversation going. Let me know what thoughts you've had, or if you've known somebody that's really suffered, if you suffer with it, like, let's talk about it. And let's go, man. Thanks so much. See you guys.